The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern. And then you go on into some action.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Hi, welcome to Screaming Rebels episode
16.
And this is your host, Jorge Guzman with...
This is Hector from Screaming Rebels, and we're going to be talking about Batman.
Batman, the new movie by Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight Rises.
And spoiler for the end part, so we can go ahead and watch it all the way through the end, and we'll go ahead and yell spoiler or something if you need to turn it off and don't want to know what happens in the end.
Yeah, so... Well, if you don't want to know anything that happens in the movie, you'd want to stop the podcast now and go watch the movie and then come back and finish watching it.
But we are going to go back to 2005 first and talk about Batman Begins. We'll talk about a little bit about Batman Begins. We'll talk about a little bit of Dark Knight. And then we'll go into the...
You know, I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you'll know this because... And I did think about this a lot, you know, but when the trilogy, well, now it's a trilogy, but when it first was introduced, did Christopher Nolan really have a plan to say that he wanted to do 3 Batman movies?
You know what, looking at the film, it looked like, I think they wrote it out as a 3-part movie, because even in the end movie, all of it fit so well together.
Well, I know, but the only reason why I say is because I remember on Batman Begins, like when I went and watched all the extra features and stuff, Christopher Nolan, the main thing that he was concerned about with the first one was, I remember he went to the studio and was like, I want to do a Batman movie. And the studio was like, hey man, we've got a bunch of Batman movies, like, what can you do? And then that's when he kind of had to do the whole, drop his spiel of...
He's like, wait, have you seen Memento? What do you mean what I can do with Batman?
No, but I mean, and so it seemed like he was really focused on trying to get that first movie done, and he definitely left it open so he can do maybe a second if it did really well. But like, I didn't really see like he had a vision. Oh, I'm gonna do 3 movies, but I'm only gonna let them know about the first.
I think he started with the first movie, and then they saw it was kind of a sleeper. It didn't do as well as the second one, and what they did was it got notoriety, and it was more of a word of mouth. They'd be like, hey, did you see the new Batman movie? And they're like, no, you got to watch it. It's really good. And so it didn't hit like that number 1, but it slowly moved where it had a larger fan base, and it was getting a bigger fan base. And it also got to the point where people were now sided with Batman. You either like the campy Batman and the cheesy Batman, or you're going to like the new psychological thriller. There's no in between with this fan base now. You either like you can go to...
What do you mean? I like both.
But you can go on there and people will talk shit about this Batman. They hate it. They say it's not the style and this and that. But like you introduced me, there's different universes of Batman.
Oh yeah.
And they I think they studied and stayed more with the 80s and 90s theme of the comics of Frank Miller and all those people who did the darker series of the Batman.
Yeah, I mean, and I know because they do that all the time where they do the studies of the comics and they say basically whoever's writing the comics or even drawing it, each person takes on a whole different personality. Like a real quick one, and I should have brought it, but did you ever read The Joker by Azzarello?
No.
Okay, so he writes a book because Azzarello had said in the past, he's done superhero comics, but he stopped it a long time ago, and he goes, I don't ever want to write a superhero. So when he did Joker, he's like, well, it's not superhero. So the book is solely based off the Joker, and he did it with the artist Lee Bermejo. But the cool part, and and he was really upset with this, so he got a lot of crap, is that the Joker in there looks like the Joker in the second Christopher Nolan film. Okay. It looks like the Dark Knight's Joker, where he has the scars, and that's why he has the smile. Yeah. But the thing is, like, when you write comic books, it lasts a long time sometimes. And that one I think took him almost 2 years. They actually had the design for Joker before Christopher Nolan even announced that he was going to be doing that second film. But people kept on saying that, of course, they ripped off the movie, that they were trying to copy Christopher Nolan.
And the thing is, actually, they were trying to go with a darker image from the first Tim Burton one. They went with the darker, the story and subplot of that is from the darker versions of the Batman, and then, you know, it kind of came to become a little more campy. But those movies were dark as well and are really good for that time.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, as far as for those, I mean, almost everybody knows how the Batman series kind of goes. But I mean, Batman has a long history. You know, it's starting from the comics. Let's see, you have Action Comics. I can't remember the year it comes out. I think it's like 39 or something. That's the Superman. Superman's the first superhero comic to ever come out. And then the next one is actually Batman. Batman's the next one that's created.
And by Bob Crane.
Yeah. You know, and so that one's immediately the next one that ends up coming out. You know, and so from then on, though, they became two huge favorite superheroes. So anytime people wanted to do like the program, you had a Superman program, you had a Batman program. You know, people loved it. Like, they flocked to it.
And I think that's like what I was saying about the difference of some people's preference of what kind of Batman they want to see. There's the new dark version of the Batman, and then there's the still campy 90s ones that we watched as kids with the high colors and everything else and the vibrant colors, and they thought it was more to make it pop out like a comic book. And these ones are more set in a realistic base, and it kind of feels almost like Chicago, the Gotham in the movies.
It does, and I think well, that's exactly what Nolan wanted to do. He was like, well, what if I take the idea, and I mean, because he's not a superhero in the traditional sense, I guess. Like, he doesn't have superpowers,
and that's one of the major things they showed in this one.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted to do. Was he said, hey, but you have a regular guy, so why don't we make everything look like it's real, like it can really happen?
And he was attacking the mafia. He was attacking crime lords, warlords. It was a complete difference from the first time. And the Joker too. Even him, he was like a Nietzscheistic kind of personality, where he was just wanting to destroy just to make things.
Just because.
And,
there was no reason.
And it fits into this thing because you think of like, a lot of people don't know, but like Batman was part of the League of Assassins, and they call it here, they changed it and call it the League of Shadows. Yeah. And Thalia was part of it because she's the daughter of, I can never say his name,
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul, and then he...
so after we
Bane,
finished watching the movie, I know... I forgot this, and so I guess we'll explain a little bit of how...
We'll talk about the League of Shadows, which is known in the Christopher Nolan version. Comic version is called the League of Assassins.
Yeah, and so... and the leader of that is Ra's al Ghul. And so Ra's al Ghul has a daughter, and her name is...
Thalia.
And so in the movie, well, it was also the same? No, it was Miranda.
No, that was her.
That was her cover name.
That was her cover name.
So in the movie, her cover name is Miranda.
Yeah.
And it's played by, I don't remember her name.
She is the girl from Inception. She plays the evil wife in Inception. If you haven't seen it, that thing with Christopher Nolan too. When he finds character-based actors, he likes to continue using them throughout his.
So
movies.
why hasn't he used Guy Pearce anymore?
I don't think was a role for Guy Pearce.
You know, well...
Or it could be something of timing.
What I think, at least for him, of what he's done now, and I think it's really cool, but, you know, Christopher Nolan is becoming a director. I mean, he definitely has a long career ahead of him, but he's going to be like Martin Scorsese or one of those where he finds someone, like you just said, and he's going to continue to use them. Another one that really surprised me with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You know, and same thing, because he used him in Inception, really enjoyed him, and he brought him back. You know, and it's like Martin Scorsese wanting to use Leonardo DiCaprio in a lot of his films now. You know, so are you looking up to see?
Yeah. What is her name?
I think.
Oh, you know what? Let me just go, and we'll continue talking in that way. Dark.
I don't know. All I hear is a bunch of clicking noises by you. So her real name is Marion Cotillard.
Oh, you caught it?
Yeah. The cell phone's a little faster than your laptop. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah. But she's a pretty good actress. I mean, who surprised me too, as being a good character.
I think it's just fun. I just have to say it because I know my girlfriend in Inception didn't really like her. you know, because she's really over the top in Inception.
Well, yeah.
But I did have to point. I finally pointed out. I go, well, I think that's what Christopher Nolan wanted. Like, he, like, you know, but she's way over the top.
She was psychotic in that.
Yeah, but the whole time, you know, she's like, I thought you said we could grow old together.
Yeah.
You know what? Why are you doing this to us? What's wrong? You know.
But
like,
I think it was more to build the suspense of those scenes. I mean.
Yeah, I know, but she did repeat the same line like at least 30 times within in the movie. You know, and. Yeah. And it's not real. Don't you see? This is not real.
And like, the one that Crystal liked, and when we were watching it, and she thought she did a good job, was Anne Hathaway.
Oh, you know, everybody was asking like, how did she like? So, how do you think she did as a Catwoman? Catwoman's a tricky one because like, you had Michelle Pfeiffer, you had I'm trying to Halle Berry, which was
that's horrible. Yeah. And then you had the old what's her name, the original Catwoman that came out with Adam West. I don't remember her name. No, and that's the thing. There's two of them. You know why I know there's two? Because we were going through and watching the old, the Space Ghost Coast to Coast episodes. You know how he does the interviews? Yeah. There was two Catwomen in the old program. I know there's one that she's like half Afro. Yeah. Afro-American.
So they showed both of them on the Space Ghost, and it was so they were interviewing them.
And they're one's completely white, right? And the other one.
They are. And, you know, so I thought that was interesting. Somewhere in the middle of the run, they decided to switch Catwoman.
But the Afro-American one, she's the one that is more famous because of her voice. That would give.
Can you believe she still talks like that?
Yeah, she still talks like that.
She was like, I don't even know. She was like 50-something years old. Yeah, she's like, hi, Space Coast.
Yeah.
I was like, what's this? I didn't know she was playing a part, but I was like, I think she really talks like that. I have a speech impediment, so I have to talk like this.
I've always liked.
She had long claws.
I liked Anne Hathaway. I mean, I didn't like her from like the little goofy movies she made. Did you
ever see Love and Other Drugs?
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
I didn't like that one.
I didn't either.
But I liked her in. Did you ever see Brokeback Mountain?
Oh, you know what? I've seen pieces. I've never seen that movie. I don't know why I never. Yeah. That won was that the movie of the year?
Yeah.
Because it did get an Oscar. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And with that movie, she has a small part in the end.
That's Heath Ledger too.
But she carries that whole scene in the end, and she leaves like a big climax.
Oh.
And she I think that's where she shows her real acting chops, because before that she was playing like The Princess Diaries and little small bits like that.
You know, I was kind of, I don't know, I guess being a comic book fan, I wasn't exactly sure between the relationship between her and Batman, because you know in the comic book it's a really long drawn out relationship, you know, and I think Tim Burton did the better job of that, you know, and Batman Returns in Part 2. Like, you know, I think he did a lot better play with the Catwoman and the Batman. And I really like how he introduced Catwoman in that one. You know, she falls out the window, the cats come, they lick her wounds, and she, you know, kind of just like loses, she just switches over.
Yeah, I didn't see any cats for Catwoman in this one. No. There was no cats. She had her
She just said she had cat friends. Yeah, she just kept on saying, "Oh, my cat friends," and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. You know, and so I think I really do. I would have at least wanted to see a little bit more of that, because I wasn't sure where the relationship.
Yeah, I wanted to see the crazy cat lady.
She sounded like she liked her. Yeah, like you know, she kind of liked him, but it was so I don't know. Like
I think she was like the Batman. She liked the meaning of the cat. But she doesn't necessarily have the cats.
Yeah, no, and not only that, like, you know, she's like, oh, well, you know, like she tried to pretend like she was jealous, and sometimes it came out, but other times it didn't. I was like, come on, like, are you jealous, or do you like this guy or not? Like, I'm kind of confused. You know, maybe you should just go with Bane.
Yeah. Bane is an interesting character.
He was.
I think he did a good job.
Reading the comics all the time, I never imagined him like that.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. Playing him, I think, was a good choice of having a serious actor instead of the bulk character.
How did you like the way they did the voice thing?
I didn't like it.
Because you could clearly tell that, I mean, you know, if you were standing in the room with him, his voice wouldn't be coming out of the mask like that. That's something that's made just for the movies.
Yeah.
That, you know.
He talks like, okay, here's the thing that...
Because they added effects. They added a lot of effects to the voice.
His voice is very... Well, we'll do a spoiler more about that later, but the thing that is interesting about him is, like, he's so proper in etiquette and everything else, the way he talks, but then sometimes he's brute, and it doesn't come out clearly, and it kind of gets a little confusing of what where he's at.
Is it kind of like when Christian Bale goes around and he starts talking like this all the time?
He's like, "Arr," and then he's like, "All right, gentlemen, let the games begin." Out of nowhere. That's what I'm talking about.
I was wondering, and it was funny because it happened in the movie, but as I'm sitting there towards the beginning, I go, I wonder if he had a yowl, Christian Bale, as Batman, how would it sound? Because he's always talking like this, and it's really hard to raise your voice above it. But there's a part where he does yell.
You know what I didn't understand?
Yells,
the part I didn't understand is when he, one of them says, "I know who you are," and you don't have to hide, and he still talks like this. And they're the only two that are talking together. And it's like, why the fuck are you talking like that? He already said you know who you are.
Because he didn't say. If he would have said, well, he's in character. He can't break character. It's like, it's like those, what do they call those actors that get into character where they,
Christian Bale.
No, the ones that, like, that's all they do. Like, what
Character
method?
actors.
Is it, character actors? Isn't
Character
that
method act.
Oh, yeah, and then they can't break character?
Yeah.
It's like, why the hell is he acting like a douche? Oh, he's a character.
But no, Christian Bale is that kind of character-based person because, did you ever see The Mechanic?
Yeah, I did.
Or The Machinist?
Yeah,
The Machinist.
Yeah, The Machinist.
And he lost that weight, and people even said he was in seclusion, and
that was
and kind
really
of became
scary,
that character during that film. So he does do a lot of that, and that's one thing that I had to give props to
Christian Bale?
To Christian Bale in Batman is that he plays a frail Batman, and you can tell he lost a lot of weight and everything else to play that part, and then he comes back as the bulked up Batman.
So, do you think the way the third one started that you were gonna see Batman like in seclusion or like a recluse for 8 years and with a damaged knee? Like, did you imagine that when it was gonna start? Because we knew that he was supposed to, from the second one, the way it ended, like he was gonna become like a bad guy a little bit, but you didn't think he was gonna stop fighting crime for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little weird too. It's like, why did you have him stop for 8 years?
But they said that the crime rate was at an all-time low, and they really didn't need somebody like him anymore around.
Yeah, but I still think that was,
And it kind of explained.
Because in the comics, though,
he had a lot of guilt about the deaths.
Yeah.
So that was another thing.
And I know that, no one did want to try to appeal to that human side of him, but...
We'll do a spoiler alert right now. Alfred, in the movie, talks about him not wanting him to be Batman anymore. He said that's just a symbol, and you're not that symbol anymore. And he specifically said that to him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but I don't think he wanted him to be a recluse either.
No, I don't think he ever did either. I mean, and that's why I'm saying like that. So that part was a little bit...
So, the movie altogether... The story is kind of...
The second one's, I think, my favorite.
The story's kind of all over.
Yeah, it is.
And the second one, it looks like they took their time. They're like, hey, we're going to...
Well, and that's why I asked if you think he had it set in his mind the whole time that he was going to do all 3 movies. Because if he did, I think he would have...
No, I think what happened with this one is that I think he really wanted to close it off where somebody wouldn't be able to...
Well, like, I read an article where he said... I guess they were saying, that he introduces a lot of characters, so he tries to do like a lot of character development. Like he's trying to get you immersed so you can care about characters, like Miranda or Thalia, or Bane, Catwoman, because that's a lot of characters.
Yeah, and you do feel a lot of empathy for Bane in the movie.
I know, but they don't explain all that much. Like, as I'm watching it, they said, okay, so Bane wears a mask all the time.
Yeah.
And in the movie, this is where one of the spoilers come in. They say because he's getting constant morphine because he can't stand the pain that he's going through. But in the comics, it's not morphine that he's always getting.
No, okay, so in the comic books, they actually use him as
an experiment.
Yeah. And they use this new drug called Venom.
Yeah.
And so the Venom is like a highly potent steroid, but the negative thing is they can't come off of it anymore. So once you take it, you're kind of stuck to taking it all the time. Yeah,
and in the comic, it's a little different. I like what Nolan did with the visual effects, but in the comic,
it's attached.
It's attached to the back of his head, and that's where it actually pumps into his brain. And he wears a lucha libre mask over his face. And you found out why he has that, right? The mask, I thought.
Yeah.
Didn't you one time?
It's like they're Argentinian descent.
Okay, that's right. You did say that.
Bane is like a Latin. He's from Latin America, and their mother and father are warlords.
Yeah, because I always thought he was Russian.
Yeah,
And you were the first one to tell me that. Why he had the Lucha Libre mask.
And
I
it
was
was
like,
part of his. It was part of his heritage to carry it on. So he's actually the first Hispanic villain in the Batman series.
Actually, because I think he even wears. That's right. He wears a singlet, right?
Yeah, he
wears
the wrestling singlet.
Yeah.
And
But he's But no, he was Russian in the movie. Wasn't he?
This one?
Tom Hardy. I think he was.
No, they were in
the Middle East.
Yeah, they were in the Middle East, but it wasn't. Yeah, that's kind of. See that's what.
Yeah, and no, that's why I'm saying there was a lot of gaps, and I wish that they would have explained that because see, the reason why Bane talks really intellectually is because in the comics, the serum also makes him smarter too, isn't it?
No,
it's not just,
he's always smart.
Oh, he's always been smart. Okay, he's a genius in the comic.
What happens is when his mother. Okay, so for people that don't know the Bane trilogy, Bane is born in a prison, and his mother is murdered in front of him, and they try to kill him, and they actually throw him off the thing, and he survives the fall.
Yeah.
And after that, the monastery priests start taking care of him because he's amongst these other people who want to cause harm to him.
Yeah.
And so the way to keep a child busy is they start introducing him to books. And so he's starting to go through books like crazy. And it doesn't matter what book he gets. Once he gets his hands in it, he has to finish it all the way through. He actually becomes memorizing. So he's very intelligent.
No, I know, because in the comic, they do say he's a genius. Like, his IQ is, like, above standard.
But at the same time, he hates living there because it's a prison. And he's basically stuck in there for crimes that his parents committed. And so in the end, he escapes. And he's the only one to escape from that prison the first time. And he actually kills the warden. No, he injures the warden when he comes out. And then the second time when he goes back to the priest, he kills the warden.
Oh, okay. Because I know you had the comic that kind of explained all that. I know I had the different comic that actually some of this movie's based off of.
And so when he escapes, the first person he's introduced is to Thalia. And Thalia tells him, my father, this and this and that, you should come and train with us. And so he goes and trains with them. And Ra's al Ghul's first thing says is, nobody can touch my daughter. My daughter is forbidden for any person who wants to be part of the League of Assassins.
Yeah.
And he actually breaks that cardinal rule. He starts making out. I think they find him in the beach together. And so he excommunicates Bane from the League of Assassins. And during the League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul talks about a young pupil by the name of Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay.
And because he was trained by them. And he talks about the Batman. But Bane doesn't put him together yet. And he talks about how he's a symbol of Gotham City and how people fear him. And Bane wants that credibility of being feared and almost like idolized.
Yeah.
And so he actually becomes infatuated with the Batman. And the first time he doesn't even want to... He wants to kill Batman, not because it's Batman, but he wants to show a symbol can be crushed.
Yeah.
And so that's where the villainous part where he starts becoming... Because he's completely infatuated with Batman.
So in the comics, the one that I had let you borrow, Nightfall, that was the series that they did, and this was in the early 90s. I won't say like 94 or something.
Yeah.
And in that one, I know what I like is, and that's where some of the stuff in the movie comes from, but Bane is, I tell you, he's a super villain.
Yeah.
And he's really smart. He doesn't just say, I'm going to attack Batman. Yeah. Basically, he says, I'm going to weaken Batman. Like, I'm going to make sure that he's not strong anymore.
Yeah.
So in the very first issue, when you start reading it, the first thing he does is he blows up Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
So in the movie, the way they transcribed that was instead of Arkham Asylum...
The black... What is it called? Black...
They have a special prison that everybody that Harvey Dent had put in that was...
It's like Black Hole or Black Key. I think it's Black Key.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like it's a Black Key prison or something.
Yeah.
It had a little over 1,000 inmates. So one of the things that Bane does is he blows up the prison. But at this point, Batman's not in the scene already anymore. But that's what they kind of got. So it reminded me of that. I was like, oh, this is like when he blows up Arkham Asylum. So in the comics, he blows that up. Well, now you got all these crazy lunatics like Joker. You got, Scarecrow, of course, Mad Hatter, all them running around, which is even worse than having prisoners in the comic. Yeah. And so Bane is just keeping his eye on Batman the whole time, like just watching his every move.
Him,
he's studying him. You know, he's
a predator. He's an apex predator in the.
So when he finally confronts Batman in the comic, he already knows everything about him. He's like, I know every move you have. I know everything you have because I've watched you. Like I know I've studied you. You know, like you don't know who I am. Like you don't know the first thing about me. You know, and
there's a lot of that in the movie too.
And so the thing that I thought, the same thing that also happens in the comic is that he lifts up Batman and he puts him over his knee. But what I thought was weird in the movie, because in the comic he breaks his back.
Yeah.
You know, but in the movie they kind of, I don't know, I think they wanted to put that in there, you know, like the whole thing from the comic and also for visual, but. So you know a little bit about like the medical field and stuff. What happened to him? Because all they do is they say, "Oh, your vertebrae's popping out."
His disc protruded, so where the disc would be aligned.
But it's not a broken back.
It's basically the discs are not aligned, so he can't move. It's.
And can you fix it that easy by punching someone in the back?
No, no. You would need to remove that disc and actually get hardware into that area.
And see, in the comic, it follows more along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the comic.
I mean, you could
take some months.
You could push it in, but then the damage is already done to the discs because what happens is.
And then you can mess up the spinal cord.
Your spine is right here, right?
Yeah.
And so there's little discs. So for the people on the camera, there's these little discs that sit in the middle. So it's basically like a cushion.
Yeah.
And so when his back protrudes, and what happens with the protrusion is there's actually nerves, and it starts touching the nerves. So that's where you get the leg numbness, and you can't feel that. So in the movie, what they do is they fucking rope him, and he's hanging like on a swing. It looks like a sex swing that he's hanging at, and then the guy just punches him right in the back and pops the disc back in alignment, which would be.
And I'm thinking, wait.
And this is without an MRI machine to even see if they're even aligned. He's just like, yeah, I think I got it. And then they're saying it's protruding out, and then he socks it. So wouldn't you think he would get cut? Because your spine has like the little. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like,
some of it's over the top.
Yeah, it is. Well, and Nolan's done a very good job.
What I was expecting in that movie is like Selena or them finding where he's at and take him out, and then
I didn't think of that. Yeah,
and then they would take him to a hospital. Or something
I was waiting for a long time for Alfred to come back. I was like, when's Alfred coming back? And I was like, and he never came back.
Comes back to cry.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man. The whole time I was like, Alfred should have come back sometime when he was gone and he was in distress, because he should have been like. Oh, like he should have watched what was going on TV. Like, oh, Batman's not there. But where the hell was Alfred?
I think he was in Paris. He knew what was happening. He's like,
I'm safe.
Because he's been part of rebellions. Remember, he talks about in the first Joker and the Dark Knight. He's like, I was in the Congo and they had this size full of rubies that were the size of soccer balls.
You know what? He ends up admitting, doesn't he? I forgot what story. He says one of the stories and he finally says that it was bogus. He's like, why'd you tell me? He goes, because you needed to hear it.
Yeah.
He didn't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was. Alfred takes off in the movie,
and for people,
he's gone for a long period of the movie, and I'm just like, where is it?
Because it got cold, and Michael Caine doesn't like to do movies in cold weather.
What do you mean? He comes from England.
That's one of his contracts. So have you ever seen?
No, I haven't. He really wants to.
If he likes a movie, he'll do it.
He's British.
Yeah,
it's cold over there.
But he says that with his agent that the arthritis is really hard on his joints.
So is that why they got Liam Neeson for The Grey?
So, yeah. Hey, can you imagine Michael Caine as
being the wolf killer?
Come here, you motherfucker. Actually, Michael Caine does play a badass in that movie, Harry Brown.
I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. I know you did tell me.
And he does play a hard...
It's on my Netflix.
He plays a hard badass. If nobody's seen it. You might need
Michael Caine.
You might need to put subtitles because they're in England in this movie, and when their speech starts going a little bit fast, you're like, "What the hell?"
Are they even speaking English anymore?
I can understand it. But like I'll watch it with other people and be
that's because you speak Mexican.
And they'll be like, "Hey, they're like, is this movie in English or what?" It's like, yeah,
yeah,
like Slumdog Millionaire.
No, you were the first person to introduce me to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Yeah. And I couldn't understand like in Snatch, I couldn't understand some of that stuff.
Yeah. I think it is with me is because my dad had a friend who was from London.
Oh, okay.
And he always used to come over. And my dad, when he came from Mexico, he studied English in Mexico, but it wasn't the English like American English. It was the proper English. So my dad, if you ever heard him talk in English, he would speak proper, like he was from Britain.
So is that kind of like when people study Spanish here, they learn proper Spanish, not Mexican Spanish?
Yeah.
and then they go down there and they're like, vosotros.
¿Qué quiere este güey? No lo entiendo, madre.
Vosotros. ¿Qué es vosotros?
So he would talk, and my dad and him would go into conversations, and I would get fucking lost. I was like, are they speaking Spanish? What the hell are they speaking now? I don't even know. So you get your ear gets accustomed to hearing it.
No waddle. Yeah.
And then I worked with doctors from India and everything else. So then I started picking up the dialects, and you understand what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that clears up the whole Michael Caine. I didn't know that he wouldn't do films though in the
so
cold.
what his part of his contract is he doesn't want to do movies in cold weather and that because he can't stand it. But if the script is really good, he'll sign to do it. But that's one of his things.
So that's why he signed to do.
Yeah.
Well, but he was only in there for part of it. So I wonder if they actually then decided to take him out of part of the script because of that. And like, okay, we only need you for this many days.
I think they took him out because then you would have the questions of what happened to him when the whole uprising happens, and is he still stuck in the manor? You know, I think they had to fill out that gap.
No, I still think that he should have been around there somewhere. So, anyways, that's the part with
the reason that I like the trilogy, and I'm going to continue. This is probably going to be my favorite Batman trilogy ever. Is that they also have a writer by the name of David S. Goyer. David S. Goyer has done every single movie for them. He's done horrible movies.
What other movies has he done?
He's done Ghost Riders, The Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh, he did that?
He does all kinds of comic book movies, right?
Because he's also doing the Man of Steel one.
Yeah. And the thing that I like about him is that he was an actual writer for the Justice League. So he was actually a comic book. No, he was a comic book writer.
Oh, okay.
And so
I see what you're saying.
He has
because they want to make a movie of Justice League, and now with the whole franchise of Batman, they're like, we can. And then they saw what happened with Avengers. I mean, Avengers made $1 billion like in the opening weekend.
Yeah, but the Avengers. Did you see the Avengers?
Yeah, I did see Avengers.
Okay, the Avengers wasn't really the Avengers. The Avengers was the Avengers and Iron Man, or Iron Man and the Avengers.
Well, what do you think would happen if they had a Justice League? It's gonna be Batman and the Justice League,
or Superman and the Justice League.
Superman still doesn't have that same type of franchise.
People might hear it and they're not gonna get pissed. I really don't like Superman. I think it was a great idea back in the 1930s when he was made.
It's okay, he's not my favorite superhero, and my cousins are huge Superman fans, and I'm the Batman fan.
Yeah.
So we'll always go back and forth.
I'll always be the hardcore Batman fan.
Well, hey, David Carradine was a Superman fan.
Yeah. Look at him.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Superman's not one of my favorite, but the only reason why, I'll just say real quick, why I don't really care for Superman. What are you trying to do to me?
It's not on.
You get it really close.
It's not on.
That's okay.
All right.
This was on, and we got a podcast. We just won't have a YouTube this time.
You can go ahead and talk. I'm just gonna turn it off.
You even said push the red button.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Why is it not blinking?
So, anyways, the whole reason why I don't really care for Superman is, he's got all these superpowers. I think that there's a limited number of stories of what you can do, and you can kind of see that, I feel, when you start reading the comics. Every once in a while, though, someone comes out and surprises me. Like Grant Morrison did one called All-Star Superman. I want to say
I saw that. I was just looking at Supermans and the most popular ones.
Oh, yeah.
And the best ones were done in the 80s.
Well, no, the All-Star Superman was done like 7 years ago or something.
Oh, really?
That's a great story. I was like, you know what? But it takes. I mean, so how long do you have to have like all these like no good stories, and then all of a sudden like a fantastic story, and it's really good, and I guess spoilers for that. Like if you were to read the comic, what ends up happening is Lex Luthor, of course, is his arch villain, and he's super smart. Well, he finally comes up with the idea. What happens if Superman gets super close to the sun? That gives him powers, but what happens?
I know this story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the one where he gets cancer, right?
Yeah, basically, more or less, they tell him that too. They go, he's like, he got cancer.
Too much of a good thing is always a bad thing.
Yeah, and so Grant Morrison uses that. So now it's like Superman is on a timeline to die, and so
does Superman do chemotherapy in this one?
No, you'd have to read the comic. But it's really interesting of all the things. So he knows he has a limited number of time. So he's like, I gotta get things done right, and I gotta prepare the earth for what would happen.
Can you imagine if he had prostate cancer and they had to check it and he clinched? Because he
Why would he have to check?
Superhero powers.
But why would he have to check?
No, I'm just saying, but it'd just be funny. Because
he would never have to go to the doctor.
Like a normal man's clinch isn't like Superman's clinch.
Yeah, like when he goes and they're like, pinch it.
Yeah.
I'm ready, guys.
Yeah,
Can he hold it? He can hold it.
Does he see a doctor? How does he know he has cancer?
Yeah, he actually goes to someone who.
So that's what I'm saying.
Views his cells like underneath, a microscope, and he sees his cells are because what he.
How do they draw his blood though? I think
they don't draw blood.
Like the man of
No,
steel,
they just see like on the surface and stuff. When they see that, like exactly what happens. And, well, I mean, they do have things that can cut them. They have kryptonite cuts and stuff. So I mean, that's the thing though about Superman. You're right. And the ones in the 80s, like one is.
Remember an 18 gauge kryptonite needle?
The story in the 80s you're probably thinking of is the Alan Moore one that was really famous. And it was the world without Superman. And it's basically what would the world be like if there was no Superman? Kind of that. Like you would wake up one day and what would it be?
Like it is now.
But in comic book form it seems really cool because, it's supposed to be like, it's always been like that. What would it be like if it wasn't like that?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting on that one. But so how the new Superman, and they do show a trailer.
In the beginning.
At the beginning, it's a teaser trailer for the new Superman movie that Snyder's doing.
Yeah. It looks like a Red Lobster commercial for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, so it's been all over.
There's a fucking boat, and there's some fucking lobsters and some crabs.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
A kid running around in like a fucking suit or like a white t-shirt and a red cape, and then all of a sudden he fucking jets through the atmosphere.
But he wasn't flying until the very end.
Yeah, it looks like a fucking Red Lobster commercial.
Yeah, I don't know who decided this was a great. And then so there's 2 teaser trailers. I found out.
It's probably the guy from 300 who's directing it.
It is. Yeah, I know, and I'm not excited about that at all.
I'm not excited either.
So I'm really disappointed. I know Christopher Nolan helped with the story.
I wonder if Christopher Nolan's gonna sit him in his lap and be like, no, don't go this way.
I know.
You gotta go this way.
He might because he's producing it.
Yeah.
He's producing it.
He's kind of controlling.
Yeah, and he did the story with Goyer, but Goyer is the one who actually wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, but Goyer and Christopher Nolan's brother are the ones that wrote the Batman.
Yeah,
franchise.
Jonathan, I think his name, Jonathan Nolan. The thing that I'm worried about with Snyder is Snyder always does everything with the green screen.
Yeah.
And on here, it looks like there's a lot of, scenes where he's out, like in the public, like so he actually has to go out in the world and use his camera. I'm like, what's he gonna do now with lighting and stuff like that? Because when you do 300 and Watchmen, you can make it all colorful and bright because you can control the light. You can't control the sun. So what's he gonna do? Like I'm not curious because I haven't enjoyed any Snyder films yet. He's had Sucker Punch, 300,
that's even a
Watchmen.
That's watchable, but not really a great movie.
Yeah, and I've never seen the director's cut, but I heard the director's cut's like 5 hours long. I was like, come on, man, who do you think you are, Peter Jackson? It's like, who does a 5-hour comic book movie? Just read the comic book.
Christopher Nolan. Just kidding.
Oh well, yeah, if you put all 3 together, yeah. Which I do have to say, the Batman movies are a little bit too long for my taste. Like the second one, they're like, I loved everything.
You know
that happened.
what? Batman Begins is probably long, really long and overdone because I'll watch it like the other day. It came out on FX.
Yeah.
And you know how movies usually like from 8 to 10?
Oh, yeah,
it's almost like from 8 to midnight. Because the commercials right now. Yeah. I was like, fuck, man, this guy.
So imagine when this one comes out, it's going to be 8 to 1 in the morning. It's like, I feel like I'm watching Ben-Hur, Yeah. So it's not going to be
And if Charlton Heston does a cameo in it, is he alive?
Yeah, he's alive. He still does the NRA thing. Remember, he's like the main guy for the National Rifle
I guess nobody can really see me shrug my shoulders right now. I just shrugged my shoulders.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's alive. I gotta check this out. But I'm almost positive that Charlton. I'm gonna feel like a fool if he's dead. And I'm like, I didn't even know.
So, back to Batman, right? What did you think about it?
The movie, like I say, I think the second one is my favorite. The first one's really good. I think this third one. First of all, it's not a kids movie at all. You took kids, didn't you take kids?
I took I took the older ones though.
Oh, well, how old?
7 and 11.
Oh, okay. Well, because one of my cousins, she took her son, and he's like 7 years old too.
About? My kids watch Friday the 13th,
and that's what she said, the same thing. And I was like, you know what, though, you guys should not be having your kids watching.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I'm just saying, the only reason why I say this, so if you're thinking about letting your kids go, because this movie's graphic.
Okay, yeah. If your kids are not used to violent movies and you want,
this movie should not be PG-13.
Yeah. No, it's far from it.
Yeah, it's not. It should not be PG-13. Like I was watching it, and as I'm watching it,
how many necks did Bane break in this movie?
Well, not only that, did you see the scene where, like, you know, when Levitt shoots somebody, there's a burst of blood that comes out.
Yeah.
And I've only seen that like in Taxi Driver, like when they go poof, and then you see that little puff of red smoke, which is what they say it looks like. And I was like, wait a second.
Hey, he
just shot someone.
I was gonna ask you. I asked everybody else, and nobody knows what the hell. And spoiler alert, what the hell was Bane doing putting in the guy's vein?
Oh, I know. I figured it out until later because I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. I should have caught it, but okay. What he did was, the reason why...
He's a scientist, right?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, he's kidnapping a scientist. Mm-hmm. And then he has this body bag, and there's a dead guy there. So what he's doing is he's taking the blood from the scientist to put it to the dead guy. Because remember, they think the scientist is dead. Until he unveils the scientist, and he goes, oh, here he is. And then, but remember the military, they said, well, oh, that's when they were looking at the ion thing. And they said, who can do this? They go, well, it was only one man, but he's dead. Because they really thought he died in the plane crash.
Oh, so they just find the body, they take a blood sample, and they think it's this guy instead of the dead guy.
Apparently that's what it happened. Because the line was hooked up to the other guy. Did he kill the
other guy and drain his blood completely?
I don't know. I just know that he did have a wire connected to the other guy. And so then that's when he said, well, one of us has to start the fire. So one of us has to be the one.
And the guy's like, I love you.
Hey, I did think that was I thought the way people followed Bane was really strange.
And then you find out, spoiler alert, that he's actually following somebody else.
Yeah, I know. And that was kind of... I wish that Thalia did have a stronger role. Especially because they kept on showing us the same damn scene with the kid trying to jump on the rock. I was like, if you spent 40 minutes of this 2 hour and 40-minute movie of a kid trying to jump on a rock, you should at least focus on the person. And all they do is show Babe. And then she has, I think, I think she has like 3, maybe 4
and see,
scenes in the
that's
whole
why
movie.
they don't keep true to the comic, because Thalia was never born in a prison.
No, she wasn't. Well, you know, the other thing that I thought was
and what about, what's his name?
In the comic, though, I want to say this real quick. But you know, in the comic book, Bruce Wayne hooks up with Thalia.
Oh, yeah.
And they have a kid.
Yeah.
Damien, isn't it?
Yeah, Damien Wayne.
So I thought that was oh, remember, he died. He's dead. Charlton Heston's dead. 2008.
Did the apes take him?
I don't know. Maybe maybe it was the NRA. Maybe he shot himself. You know, I think I did remember hearing him die.
He shot himself?
Someone died today. Who was it? And I only say because Roger Ebert put it, and so it's the guy that was like a writer. He was a screenplay writer. I didn't recognize the movies. I would have to go look at Robert Ebert's page again. It doesn't say why. It just says that he was the president of the NRA from '98 to 2003.
Take your hands off me.
He was initially he was a moderate Democrat, and he later on became a conservative Republican. So weird, huh? Like he used to speak out against racism. He was part of the like an active supporter of the civil rights movement, and then became a Republican later on in life. Like he became old and became bitter and mean. And oh, he was in Touch of Evil. I forgot about that. Touch of Evil is one of the last Orson Welles movie. When Orson Welles is big, he blew up. It kind of reminds me of Marlon Brando when he was all fit and he got all huge.
And talk like this.
Died in a documentary.
What a horrible movie that was too.
Did you ever see the original?
No.
I tried watching it once the other day on demand, and I was like, oh man, this is, I don't know, maybe I'm just so programmed to see explosions and everything. I was like, this is boring. This is taking forever.
So did, for people that don't know, in the movie as
Frank Pearson died.
Frank Pearson?
Thank you. Frank Pearson. Did you look that up?
I read it on Huffington Post earlier.
See, so you read that too then. Oh, well, Ebert wrote it. So let me see if I can find out exactly what he ended up doing. So what were you going to say, though, for the people of what?
What was that? You know a lot about Batman. Where character does Blake, is it Blake in the movie?
Yeah. No, wait. I kept on saying Blake. The police chief?
Joseph Gordon's.
Oh.
I think it's Blake, right?
Was it? I couldn't remember.
See, because his name is Blake, right, in it, and then isn't Drake?
Dog Day Afternoon. That's why I remembered him.
The tranny movie.
No, the one
the
with
transsexual, right?
Al Pacino?
Where he's robbing the bank. So
yeah.
So
he's the one who wrote that, and he wrote Cool Hand Luke.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
They're actually both good movies.
Yeah, they are. He won.
I think I just ruined it for anybody who's ever Dog Day Afternoon. He's trying to get Rob money so his
man, we're just full of spoilers. This should just be called the spoiler podcast.
This is the spoiler podcast.
We're just spoiling everything.
Yeah, he's tired of making love with a guy that wanted to be female.
So he won Oscars, I think, for both films. You know.
That's such a weird movie for that time period.
Yeah, no,
Dog Day Afternoon.
And then he wrote Cool Hand Luke. It's like, how do you even imagine
yeah,
that?
that's like the opposite.
Okay, so Blake, we're going back to Levitt's character. So what were you asking me about his real quick?
For people that don't know, in the end, he says that he's an orphan and his name was actually, his given name is Robin. So
yeah.
It throws that.
No, he doesn't say that. I like. Yeah, no, it's so weird.
I like your name. I like your original
name better. You should use that more often, Robin. And it's so stupid. It's like, well, who would say that?
Yeah.
It's like, lady. It sounds kind of fruity. That's why I don't use it.
My sister is into.
She's saying Robin sounds better than Blake.
Yeah, Blake's and see, my sister's like a hardcore fan of
after a fucking bird.
The Nightwing. She's a fan of Nightwing and the Robin series.
Yeah.
And
his name's not Robin.
Yeah, there's Drake Bell, who is a Robin. Then there's Damian Wayne, who's the young Red Robin.
That's the new. You're talking about the new ones. No.
And then Dick Grayson is Nightwing.
Yeah. So originally you're talking about the three. So no, there was 3 original Robins.
Yeah.
So you had Dick Grayson, and then you had Jason Todd?
Jason Todd.
And then the last one is the one that you just said. I forgot.
Drake Bell.
Okay. And Jason Todd ends up dying in the comic book series, and it's a really great comic. What they ended up doing was they ran a poll because Dick Grayson ends up, getting older in the comic, and so he becomes his own superhero. He actually finds, I think he's the one who starts, what is it? He starts his own group. I forgot what it's called. But he starts his own group of kind of like a Justice League, but for younger. And,
Young Justice League?
The Young Justice League. That's what I was going to say, but it doesn't sound right. Then you have Jason Todd, and he comes into the picture. And I guess when they do a poll, a lot of people don't like Jason Todd. Like, they're just like, I don't understand why, but the audience really didn't like him.
Yeah.
And they didn't know really what to do. So they were like, well, they every once in a while, comics, they try to do it at least once a year, sometimes once every 2 years, but they have a huge event that takes place.
Yeah.
And it's usually like 6 issues or something, but they have to hype it up a lot. They end up killing him off. And Joker kills him, too. It's a very good comic, like I read it, and I'm just really, it's a shocking thing because no one really dies in comics. You end up knowing that. And Grant Morrison recently has been doing some crazy things in the comic book world, and I can't say I'm really happy with a lot of the stuff he does. I'm just kind of like,
What's up with the new Watchmen series?
Oh, well, you know what? They've talked about that for a very long time, and that one's interesting. We'll talk. I know we're not talking about Batman right now, but in the Watchmen series. So who knows? They might end up trying to do another movie.
Well, it's kind of DC.
Yeah, it is. It's DC. It's related, but the only reason why I say it's because Alan Moore wrote something again. Because they're of course always battling it out. Alan Moore. That's his book is The Watchmen, and they've totally taken it apart. But he goes, I'm not sure why. He goes, but I think I might have rights for something that deals with The Watchmen because he never had any rights. And the only reason why he said it in an interview was because. He goes, it's weird, but after all these years, DC never wanted to give me rights to my comic. They finally did. He goes, in fact, they said, we will give you back your comic and pay you or whatever if you sign this new contract that says that we can, basically make characters out of the Watchmen. And he goes, so I have to get a lawyer to look at it. He goes, my original contract, he goes, because I'm not sure what's in there. He goes, because DC's acting funny. DC's never done that. I think the battle's been going on for like 20 years, and DC's never done anything for him, except treat him like crap, So I think it's really strange. But what they have realized is that with the whole reboot of the movie and they're selling, The Watchmen is the only comic that has never been taken out of print. And I think I told you this before, and we mentioned it on other podcasts, but The reason why it's not taken out of print is because the contract clearly states that if they ever stop running the comic book, Alan Moore gets the rights. So back then,
so like a loophole.
Well, no, because when he first did this, there were no trade back comics. You know, we just buy ours now in a big old book. There were none. So the Watchmen, they got this novel idea to say, hey, you know what? You're writing 12 issues. Why don't we put them all together in a book and we'll release it like that? And the Watchmen, you know, they said, and as soon as we run the first print, you know, and it's done, we'll give you the rights to it. And that's usually how it worked. Like they said, okay, you know, we have the rights for the beginning and then you get it right back. And then Alan Moore was like, well, that sounds great. Like, you know, we've never done this. Like, let's go ahead and do it. They ran the Watchmen as a trade back. It did awesome. So they ran another printing. And they just kept on running it. And as long as they keep on running it,
they don't have to.
Alan Moore can never have the rights to his comic book. So he doesn't own any rights to it because of the contract. So basically he was saying too with this whole thing, he was like, you know, if they really wanted to give me the comic book, the rights back, he goes, they don't have to have me sign anything. All they got to do is stop running the book. Just stop printing it just for a little while. Just stop printing it for a couple years, you know. But no, they keep on doing it. They're never they don't really want him to have it back. So they knew that there's a lot of money. So what they did was...
So has he created any new ones?
Well, after the Watchmen, he did a bunch of comics after that. The most recent thing he did, and I did tell you know, Malika that's the only comic that's ever really scared me, is Neonomicon. Basically, he takes the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft with the Cthulhu and all that, and like he puts it in this comic book, and it's freaky, man. That thing scared the crap out of me. They were supposed to release it in a leather-bound book, but you know, I don't know if they ever did. I was supposed to try to get it, but every time they did it, like, you know, because he's on like independent, you know, comic book, you know, publishers now, so they kept on pushing it back. But it's scary, you know. I mean, you got this crazy squid god-looking thing, and he's, you know, getting girls and making love to them, and it's weird. Alan Moore's out there now.
I've seen pictures of him for a while.
It is scary. That is the only comic. I mean, I played, like, you know, like, I love playing horror games and, you know, reading like scary things and stuff, but that's one of the ones that actually freaked me out. I was like, oh, I had to go, you know, check the locks and turn them 8 times. And
that's my thing. So we'll go back to Batman. Do you think there's going to be any movie coming out soon following the Robin series?
You know, and that's the other thing I didn't like. I didn't like how they left that in the air. Basically, like, Batman's going to get a Robin.
Like a clip.
So the only thing I can think is that Hollywood told Christopher Nolan, hey, we need you to make this with an open ending, so this way, if we need to, we can continue making. You don't want to do anymore, but that doesn't mean that we can't continue with the franchise. So I'm almost positive that something's going to happen. I honestly think that they're going to try to do a Justice League. You know, they got this new Superman. They already got Green Lantern.
Yeah.
All they got to do if they want to is do like the Flash.
Yeah, but those movies are fucking
I know, they did. But look at the Hulk. They did an Avengers movie, and the Hulk movie sucked.
The Hulk was actually good in the Avenger movie.
He was.
Yeah,
so how do you know that the Green Lantern wouldn't be good in the Justice League movie?
Because it's that Reynolds guy, and he's kind of like a...
Why did they got to use Reynolds? They didn't use the same...
That's true.
That was the third different Hulk that they used.
They used Mark Russo, who was like, I think from the CSI, from like just regular TV series.
Ruffalo?
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, that's what it is.
Was he in the CSI?
He's the one.
He's done movies too, though.
Yeah, but he hasn't done movies in a long time. He was recently like on a cop show.
Oh, I didn't know that. He did Just Like Heaven.
Yeah.
With
he's a good actor, though.
He is. That's actually romantic comedy. I liked it.
Yeah.
What? There's nothing wrong with romantic comedies.
But okay, here's my question though, because in the Nightwing series, right, Batman dies, and one of the series, he dies, and the other one is when they break his back or he's old in that, and he portrays Batman until he kills somebody, and then Batman comes back and says, you know, hey, give me the fucking suit, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, he does.
So I would rather see a Nightwing series than a Robin series. I like Nightwing a lot more than Robin. Robin's kind of like the sidekick.
Well, you know, the way he made it look like, I was kind of hoping for that, is I was hoping that he would have done something, because, you know, they introduced Blake as a very strong character.
Yeah.
And right away I'm like, I said,
yeah.
I even said,
and that's the thing with that
Robin.
movie. That thing with that movie is when I saw her, I was like, that's Thalia. And then it threw me for a loop for a little bit, and it's like, see, I told you it was Thalia.
What?
And then I
I didn't say it was Thalia because I couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection from the comics, but I did say she's part of it.
Yeah.
I go, she's part of the League of Shadows.
And I look at Joseph, and I was like, that's Robin.
Yeah, and I did too. I go, oh, that's Robin. Right away from the beginning.
And then when he tells him, you're going to need a suit to protect your friends or your family.
A mask. He goes, he goes, I don't need a mask. He goes, I don't need to hide behind a mask. He goes, it's not for you. It's for your family.
Yeah. And then he's like, I don't got no fucking family. I'm an orphan, dumbass, remember? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so am I. But sometimes that's the reason why we gotta take that anger and we gotta use it. We should go through the drive-thru windows and start ordering. I want a number 1. Make sure there's no cheese or pickles on it.
I said no cheese.
Medium with the Coke. Who are you? I'm Batman. We just have to wait for every time when they say, who are you?
So, yeah, the movie's good. I'm not going to...
One person I wanted to mention in the movie, and because I looked him up today, because my sister and I were trying to figure out who he was the police chief in here, was Foley. The guy that helps the whole time with Commissioner Gordon. Do you know who he is?
No.
Okay, his name is Matthew Modine. My sister kept on thinking he was McFly from the Back to the Future movies. And I go, he's not. But so I looked it up. You know who he is? He's the main star from Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, shit.
He's the main guy. I looked it up, and I mean, he's done like 77 things that said on Internet Movie Database.
That was his big one.
Yeah, that was his big thing. Like as soon as they said, I go, that one's the one I know him. I didn't know the other ones.
Is it Platoon or Full Metal Jacket where the guys are like, look, rain gear, and they get in it, and they're like, that's the body bags.
Oh, it has to be Platoon. It's not. No, Full Metal Jacket's the whole, this is my rifle, this is my gun, this one's for killing, and this one's for fun.
Yeah, but, it could be Platoon. Or is it Full Metal Jacket?
I don't remember seeing
because there's a part where they're in the boot camp.
And you know what? And most people don't know this, but Full Metal Jacket's also the one where when that song, the "Oh me so horny, we love you long," comes from Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, I know.
Excerpt.
Yeah, it is. I know, and that's like that's also Full Metal Jacket. That me love you long time.
Man, I'm getting my war movies mixed up. Because
I think you're talking about Dirty Dozen.
I love that part though, because they're like, oh, it's raining. All right, they brought rain gear and they're jumping in it, and the guy's like, those are body bags.
See, I don't remember that in Full Metal Jacket. I'm almost positive that's Platoon then.
Yeah, Platoon's a good movie though.
It is. It's a long movie, but Full Metal Jacket is very good, and that's where.
Why are war movies so long? Like they're like those drama ones. Born on 4th of July.
Oh come on, Batman was long. It's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
You don't want your 7-year-old kid sitting there like, oh man, I finished my popcorn.
I think I'm gonna take my 7. I think I'm gonna show my 7-year-old Born on 4th of July.
Oh, don't show him Born on 4th of July. That is a crazy movie. That's Tom Cruise, right? That does it?
Tom Cruise, is it Oliver Stone movie?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He's coming out with a new movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know what it is, but as soon as I saw that, I go, that looks like an Oliver Stone movie.
Yeah.
It's all you know what? The one movie that he's done that
who made Savages?
JFK. Wait, which one?
Savages. That is Oliver Stone.
Oh, is that the one?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, that's just Natural Born Killers.
It got like a Rotten Tomatoes. I think it was like a 34.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
They said the movie was all over the fucking place.
That's the way his movies almost are, except for JFK.
I like the Doors movie.
Yeah, actually, I had to, but he based it off of one of the books, and so some people said basically it fails or succeeds on the book.
I love the
Val Kilmer does a great job as Jim Morrison.
And what's the Natural Born Killers? I love Tommy Lee Jones' character in that movie, that crazy warden.
Man, it's been forever since I've seen Natural Born Killers.
I just remember, what's her name, peeing in the woods, or peeing in the side, and everything's spinning around like a carousel.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Savages just looks like an updated Natural Born Killers. I haven't seen it, but his movies are all over the place.
If you look at...
Any Given Sunday is his, right?
Yeah, that's a good movie.
You know what? Matthew Modine comes out on there too.
Oh yeah.
The guy who was Foley.
That's a damn good movie though.
Any Given Sunday. You like that one? Because I liked it, but I know a lot of people. That one didn't do that good either.
No.
As far as critics.
No.
And box office.
Yeah.
It was really low.
I like that. What's his name? LL Cool J. Is he in it? And Jamie Foxx. Yeah, those two were in it, and there was fist fights. They hated each other, and they had
really?
they had to separate them at all times.
Like off camera?
Off camera.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They couldn't be seen at the same place at the same time.
So that intensity is real.
Jamie Foxx was good in that movie. For a comedian, for his first serious role, that was a pretty good movie.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was definitely. I mean, he takes football and he does it in a totally different way.
Oliver Stone. Who made Wall Street? Is it Oliver Stone too?
Oh, was that his? Because I was trying to remember. Because I know he did something else recently. Was that in
Wall
the
Street
reboot?
2.
Yeah, part 2.
I like that one too. I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty.
So the first one is Wall Street. Money Never Sleeps, I think.
No, first one's Wall Street, and then Wall Street 2 is Money Never Sleeps. Hey, you know what? Where the fuck are we?
I don't know. I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was part 2 that was just called Wall Street.
I don't know.
So are we looking up Oliver Stone now?
I guess. I mean, it's a podcast. It can go wherever the hell we want.
Did you know that Oliver Stone was the writer of Platoon?
That makes a lot of sense.
Wow. Man, I just feel that
I know he like.
You were talking about Platoon, and I can't believe it. So,
Nixon. He made Nixon too.
You know, I still haven't seen that one.
That's a badass movie.
Yeah,
Salvador.
Oh, I haven't seen that at all. I didn't even remember that one. What's that one even about, Salvador? Oh, that's an older film. Maybe I should go back.
Wall Street. Yeah, he did Wall Street, and then he did. What the hell's World Trade Center?
Oh, he did the George Bush one. That's the one he.
You know what? I was looking at Oliver Stone movies, and his percentage rate on Rotten Tomatoes is horrible too.
I understand. He does do a lot of horrible movies. He just. Yeah. You know what though? He's a director who says, "I don't care. I'm gonna do a movie that I want to do."
U-Turn was fucking horrible. W.
U-Turn. I think.
Yeah. See, pieces. The number 2, Wall Street.
Yeah, I know. I did see that.
And then Salvajes was his new movie.
Yeah. Well, I heard the original Wall Street is really good.
But he's one of those people that loves to be coked out and potted out when he's writing his stuff.
Oh, like Tarantino? Maybe that was Tarantino's role model then.
Yeah, look at him. He looks fucking tore up right there.
Sounds like someone's awake.
Yeah. Look at him. He looks like the commish. What was his name?
The commish? Wait, you had to see the picture that I got. That's the one that I got. Cocaine. That one's a more recent one.
Cocaine's hell of a drug. He's 65 and he looks like he's 70.
He does look pretty old.
He's Buddhist.
Huh. Isn't that one of their things, you can't do coke?
Yeah.
He must be a non-practicing Buddhist.
Okay, so Batman, I would recommend watching it. I mean, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie to watch. The one thing that I did say, and I didn't say on the podcast, is they should fire Hans Zimmerman. That was a fucking horrible... You can't barely understand Bane alone already in the movie on certain parts.
You know, I'm really surprised that, because we saw it in 2 different theaters, and you told me that, and I thought maybe it was the theater I went to. And when you said that, I go, man, I don't know why... And I had the same thing, because at one point I told her, I go, can you even understand what they're saying?
And then you hear... And it's like the drums get louder, and I was like, oh my god. Like, okay.
Well, no, there was a part with even Commissioner Gordon. It was supposed to be like a delicate scene.
Okay.
It was like a really delicate scene.
And the drums were like high
intensity. I was like, I can kind of hear him, but I was like, why are you doing this? Like, and Nolan's really picky about that. I'm surprised he didn't tell the sound guy something.
I really think that this movie was rushed.
Yeah, there was something definitely. You know what I thought was really funny? There's only one there's only one thing in the movie where they kind of mess up as far as the scenes go. I don't know if you caught this. I saw it right away. So Catwoman borrows the Bat bike, and she's supposed to blow a hole in the tunnel. Like, that's the scene. So she drives over there, and she's lined up to it. She's gonna shoot the missiles and blow these cars and stuff. When she shoots the missiles, the cars fall before the missiles explode. Yeah. Like, I was looking at it and I was like, what? I was like, the cars, like, why would...
like, we have no time, just let it roll, let's whatever.
I know, it's like, oh, okay, that's a good take. Let's go to the next one.
You know what, though? It's not...
But the cars are falling, and then it goes, and then there's an explosion. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
And they kind of edited it a bit better, but he is dealing with raw film. It's not digital.
Well, yeah, but I mean, okay, I understand that's a big scene, but they give him a lot of money. They give him a huge budget. With all the money that he spent on all the other things that he did.
I think he broke his record this time too for the
budget.
No, for most reels for IMAX.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think, who was it? Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith does Kevin Smith's film school as the podcast, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so he talks about like people, and he said that Christopher Nolan was one of the people that that he broke the record for Kodak for when he did the IMAX movie of the most film used. And so when they did that, he's like, oh, I need another fucking reel. I ran out of them. So because he was using so much film that they took him like a case of like Cristal with it because he was fucking making a bitch. Yeah, and he said that Christopher Nolan's like one of those people, like he's like Kevin Smith's like, when I was doing film, you know, back in the days, they're like, oh, how much is the budget? Oh, you know, we got to get this right. And Christopher Nolan's like, let the fucking camera roll. We get what we get.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. Like, they gave him a huge budget because they knew they're gonna get a huge return investment on.
Well, they didn't do the box office out of respect of what happened on Friday.
Yeah.
And they came out today, and it was $160 million it made this weekend.
116.
So 160.
Oh, okay.
So it is the highest non-3D movie in history right now.
And you know, and that's the other thing that I was glad. I'm glad that he does not do the 3D thing.
Yeah.
Or at least for any of these movies so far.
He did an interview and he stated that the 3D movies is a hokey publicity stunt from Hollywood, and he refuses to do it. He will not do 3D movies because he said it's just a hokey publicity thing from
I think I've only seen one movie so far in 3D, and I've only seen a couple anyways, and that's Hugo. And you and I both know.
Yeah, Hugo's
you saw it, you said, right? In
yes.
3D, yeah. And I think we both agree that one was a movie worth seeing in 3D. But other than that, I haven't seen any other movies.
I seen one movie when 3D first started, and it's a kid movie.
Which one?
Monsters vs. Aliens. And
Did you like that one?
The movie was actually done really...
Oh, wait, I saw that in 3D.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was all that.
I thought it was done really good for the 3D.
There was only like 2 parts where I'm like, ooh, it was the one in the opening scene when he's bouncing the ball on the paddle, stick.
But I think that first movie, because, okay, you watch 3D movies, right? And a lot of 3D movies only have certain parts where they use the 3D.
Yeah.
And I think this movie used the full potential of the 3D for the movie.
On Monsters vs. Aliens? I don't know, still. That's what I'm saying. I mean, of course, in animation, like I heard, I didn't get to see it, and I wish I would have, but How to Train Your Dragon, they said was awesome in 3D.
Yeah, I seen it in regular 2D, and I like it.
I know, and I saw 2D, and I was thinking, man, I wish I would have seen that one in 3D. And it makes sense because of all the flying scenes and everything. It would have looked really cool to see the dragons pop out of the air.
So if you haven't seen Batman, I'd recommend watching it. I mean, it's going to be the best of what you see in the franchise.
Yeah, and definitely it's got to be one of the best summer blockbusters anyways.
Yeah, and you have to remember that me and George are film fanatics, so we're going to critique and nitpick a movie. A lot of people say you shouldn't do it unless you make a movie. Well, maybe we'll just make a movie, and that way we can critique all we want other movies. So
Screaming Rebels production coming at you.
You know that.
Live,
so,
2013 VD, baby.
Video on demand?
Okay.
Go watch Batman. Don't watch Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man, I took my kids to watch it. Horrible, shitty fucking version of any Spider-Man I've ever seen.
And it's sad because I was saying on the way up here that there's a good chance I'm still going to see the movie. I'm just going to wait till it comes on rental.
Okay,
because I'm a comic book fan though. It's not because of anything else. Look it.
There's a lot of movies. Don't ruin it for yourself. I'm just doing a public service while I condone anybody to watch this fucking movie.
I did see John Carter on rental.
I heard it's good.
I liked it.
Yeah,
it was you know what? It's a good Disney did it. You can't even tell it's a Disney film.
You know,
they did a very good job with it.
On Sundays, like sometimes I'm like bored and I was like, what can I do? And I like my guilty pleasure. I was like, I want to watch the Wrath of the Titans, and so I'll put it on. And I was like,
well, see,
no.
It was between that one, Wrath of the Titans, or John Carter, and I was like, you know what? I heard a lot of good things about John Carter. I want to watch that one instead.
Yeah,
so
it flopped though.
It did financially, but everybody was like, "Why?" Like they didn't understand because it's a good film, especially to take kids and stuff too. Like it really.
I don't think it was promoted properly.
No, I mean, and not only that, like Disney.
And nobody really knows who John Carter is. That's a huge difference of now with movies. It's like you don't know a character, you don't know the name.
Yeah, but I mean, but if Disney kept on saying it's Disney's John Carter, and people were like, "Oh, it's a Disney film. We don't want to see it like a family Disney film." You know, stick to.
So like we seen Carter. That's the one with Samuel L. Jackson teaches the kids how to play basketball, right? Coach Carter.
Yeah, no. This is and it's a really good. I mean, I thought it was. I mean,
it's an old comic book, right? It's an old graphic novel.
You know, I can't remember how they ended up
said
doing
it was like a 1930s kind of flip book story of this guy that was in a Revolutionary War or some kind of war period.
But then there's nothing. And then so when the movie came out, they actually released something again, a comic book. So there's a comic now for John Carter.
Disney released it?
The comic, no. The movie, yes.
I can't talk shit about Disney anymore. Like I know I hate the Disney, but they own Marvel and they've done pretty good on Marvel except Ghost Rider.
Yeah, no, and we're lucky to have. I mean, I like those movies. I enjoy most of them that come out.
So I'm wondering if like.
And I did see Pixar's latest one, Brave, and I didn't like that.
It didn't look interesting to me.
I didn't really care for that. You know what? I love Pixar, and I was really disappointed on what they had there.
Well, they did some shitty movies. Cars 2 was fucking horrible.
Oh, you know, I didn't see Cars 2. Yeah. I heard that one.
We went to the drive-in with the kids.
They're doing a lot of sequels because they're going to be doing Finding Nemo Part 2, and they're supposed to do, what is it? There's another sequel that they want to do. And I'm just like, why do they keep on... I mean, they were so good at doing all these originals. Why would they just decide all of a sudden, we're going to do a bunch of sequels?
I don't think they have the story time. And Peter Doctors is too busy making live-action movies now.
Well, what I want to see is, I'm wondering now who was the director, because I think, was it you who told me that there's 2 directors, and I never realized that before?
Chris Bird and Peter Doctors.
And I always thought Bird was the only one that did it, and you're like, no.
Peter Doctors is the one that recently left Pixar for a break, and he did the Mission Impossible movie.
Really? Because I liked the Mission Impossible movie. That was his first
action. I liked it. It was really good. It was done really, really well.
Yeah, I saw that one in IMAX, and I thought that was a really good one.
And I think next Peter Doctor's movie, I think he's doing the new...
Oh, see, look at for Brave, movie. It was Chapman and Andrews.
Yeah, so they're new people.
Yeah, I don't even know who this was.
Yeah. And
the directors were the same people. So whoever Pixar got, they kind of suck. So they're definitely going to be suffering for a while. Which is sad because
just bring Peter Doctors back. I mean, he's the original one who made the first Toy Story 2 and Cars.
Well, it's good. It's good to get at least a chance for the other companies now because I forgot, was it Miramax who did How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah.
You know, because everybody was saying, oh, Pixar's the only one knows how to do a proper animation now and blah, blah, blah. But now people are saying, oh, you know what? These other ones are just as good. In fact, they might even be better than Pixar.
DreamWorks is really good.
Yeah, DreamWorks is... Yeah. Well, except, I mean, the first Shrek is good and all the rest are...
No, and actually, I like Puss in Boots better than the Shrek movies.
Oh, I never saw it.
And that's such a funny movie and the kids love it. It's like one of the best. It's one of those movies like if the kids be like, oh, I want to watch it, I'm not going to say, oh, again. I was like, yeah, put it on. It's a good movie.
So you can watch a kids movie, but you can't watch a romantic comedy.
I watched some.
Did you ever see Just Like Heaven?
Huh?
Did you ever see Just Like Heaven?
No.
It's just Reese Witherspoon dies, and she's a ghost, and she's haunting Mark Ruffalo, who moves into her apartment.
Wait, I think I have seen that movie.
And it has to do with familiar. The plague, you know, like of how I like a lot of romantic comedies. One of my favorites, and I told it, is Fever Pitch.
Let's get a movie review of Magic Mike. You saw it.
Oh man, I didn't. It's so horrible.
I keep telling Crystal, what did you feel about Magic Mike? And all I hear is
horrible.
And all I hear is, it's a great movie. You wouldn't understand it. So a man watched.
Well, you know, I mean, maybe she's talking about that scene where you know they're pumping their you know, he has his penis in a pump.
See, I have no idea what the hell happened in the movie.
Yeah, it's look it. This is, I'll tell you right now, the best way to describe it. It's Coyote Ugly, but for women. Coyote Ugly was a horrible movie. It's a horrible movie. That's right. But people wanted to see it because you have a bunch of girls dancing on top of the bar.
Steven Soderbergh directed it.
Which one?
Magic Mike.
It's a horrible movie. It doesn't make it look it. What I was disappointed, and I said this because I go, you know what? They actually have something they could have worked with. So they could have had a bunch of naked guys,
like the next,
and they could have had a plot.
Could have been like the next Risky Business or any of those.
I was thinking more like striptease. It would have been, because people really, even though striptease had whatever it did, everybody said it was a good plot no matter what. Yeah. You know, you can't change the fact. I mean, what's going on between her and her child and stuff. And Magic Mike had that, but they never. So the way the trailer comes out is Magic Mike is supposed to. You know, he's a stripper. He's tired of the game. He falls in love with this girl. Okay, this girl that he falls in love with, it happens 5 minutes at the end of the movie. 5 minutes. And that's it. So basically he walks in and he goes, so, I'm sorry I got your brother into the stripping business and addicted to drugs. And, you know, basically he's got a bunch of venereal diseases. But I love you. She's like, I love you too. And they make out and then the movie ends. And I was like, what happened? I missed something. And like, we didn't understand. It makes no sense because he literally, like, he's like, oh, don't worry. I got your brother's back, like, throughout the movie, right? And so he takes her little brother and he introduces him to this world. And he leaves him out there. He leaves him like addicted to drugs and coke, and like he's like.
Because I've been asking I've been asking like, what's the movie about, and nobody tells me about.
Because there's no plot. The plot is so thin. Like, you know, I was like, oh, so all it is about the guy stripping. That's the whole movie.
Were you the only guy in there?
I felt like it. I think I might have been. I looked around and I was like. You know what? Because I heard a little bit about the movie, so I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. And I was like, once I looked around and I heard the women screaming, I was like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is horrible.
Why'd you go watch it?
Because it was one of those free movies from like GoFubo or like Film Metro. You know, you get the free passes, it's a pre-screening pass. So I saw it before the movie even came out, you know, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll go to stand in line. So we went, and I went to go get popcorn. And so I go with my mom and her twin sister.
Oh my
Good
God.
thing. Wait. Good thing the theater's packed. So she has to sit with her twin sister on a different section, but I still have to sit next to my girlfriend. And I'm just like, man, we should just walk out of this theater. I wish we could ask for our money back, but we didn't pay anything. But I guess when I walked out to go get popcorn, she tells me, you know, at the beginning of all these movies, because they're, you know, they haven't been released yet. They have to, you know, somebody has to say, hey, you know what, you can't bootleg this film. If anybody has their cell phones on, turn them off, because if we even think you're just checking the time, we will kick you out. Well, I guess she says that while this guy is talking, and the girls in the audience are like, woo, yeah, and they're like, you know, take it off, and then like finally the guy just kind of shuts up and just like, and just goes back to his corner. So they're already harassing the workers. They're telling the workers to start taking their clothes off. Like if they're just gonna, like, you know, strippers are just gonna come out from the sides, you know, like dun, dun.
Like the Tropic Down Under stuff from Las Vegas.
Yes, it's it was crazy. That's why I actually.
Thunder from Down Under. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it is that called. So
Tropic Thunder.
That's what. No, that's a
Robert Downey Jr. pops out of nowhere.
Jack Black. That's what I was thinking. So
a guy dressed as a guy disguised as another dude disguised as a stripper.
That's why I was wondering if Crystal was screaming. And then you said that. What did you say? It was no comment or?
Yeah, she liked it. I mean, her and her mom wanted to watch it, and I think it's more of a chick flick.
No, it is only a chick flick. Don't say it is.
And the thing is, like, I was telling everybody, and everybody would look at me weird. I was like,
gay guys and straight girls.
Like,
so it's for
everybody looked at me weird. I was like, I kind of want to watch it because Steven Soderbergh directed it. I'm kind of curious, but then I remembered I don't want to watch it because Haywire was fucking horrible.
Oh, this movie is horrible. The plot it's not there.
I think
that guy's a horrible actor, man.
I think Steven Soderbergh's done after Contagion. He hasn't made.
No, that I can't remember that guy's name as the actor, the main guy, the Magic Mike. But he's
I say it wrong every time. It's Tatum or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That guy.
I'm dyslexic when it comes to his name. I don't know his name that well.
Yeah, man, the girls were screaming like crazy. Like they were louder than the digital surround sound. I was thinking everyone was gonna start clapping at the end of the movie and standing up like if it was like the best movie of the year. I was like, what? This is weird. You know, and it's rare that
it's just
happens. Like
a guilty pleasure kind of movie for females.
I guess. I felt guilty, all right. I don't know if I felt any pleasure. All right, so this is Screaming Rebels podcast, and we better be cutting it off already.
Yeah. So go. It's an all go for Batman. It's a no go for Spider-Man. And it's a no-go for Magic Mike for the Vatos. So this is Hector, and George, Screaming Rebels Podcast, episode 16. We'll be back next time with probably European Crisis, or if no, we'll figure something else out. Everybody have a good night.
Good night.